Welcome to Active Love Adoptions podcast. I'm your host, Mackenzie Love, and we have Heidi.
Hello.
Behind the camera.
Always.
We're going to change that one day.
That's
I'm
where
going to
I'm
force
at.
you.
Like the Wizard of Oz when
right?
we finally
You
get
never
to
know.
see.
Ta-da!
Yeah, she's our mystery girl.
Yeah, mystery.
And we are here with a very special guest, Shari.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here.
I am too.
Thank
Yes.
you.
And she has adopted 4 of her kids through Active Love Adoptions. So we're really excited to hear your story today.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
very happy to be here. A little nervous, to be honest, but you know what?
Don't be nervous.
If what I can share can help someone else or answer any questions, and plus I'd do anything for Kathy and Heidi and you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
When we started doing this podcast, I told Kinsey, I'm like, oh, I have to get Shari on.
Mhm.
Really?
I did.
Oh, yes. You were one of
Yeah.
the first people.
No.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
honored.
Yeah.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I'll try to be appropriate.
Please don't.
Yeah. I feel like we all start that off that way. We're always like, we're going to behave.
Yes,
we
I'm gonna
promise.
behave. I'm gonna-
Yes.
Have my filter.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I went to my husband's work party recently and I met his coworker for the first time, this one gentleman. And as we were saying goodbye after the evening, he said, well, Shari, it was great to meet you. You definitely leave an impression.
That's a good thing.
Is that a good thing?
It's a good thing.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, it is.
It's
I
a
can
very
already
good
tell.
thing.
Yeah, I already love you. So it's definitely a good
Thank you.
thing. Definitely a
It's a
good
good
thing.
thing.
Thank you.
So do you want to just start from the very beginning?
Sure. I'd be
Yeah.
happy to.
Okay.
Yes. So my husband, David, and I have been married almost 30 years in January, which I don't know how that's possible because I'm 27. So
How does that
how does
happen?
that happen?
I don't know. My anniversary is actually this month. It'll be 34 years.
Well, there you
Oh
go.
my God.
I love
I
it.
don't know how it happened either. 'cause,
Congratulations.
I'm 26.
Uh-huh. I always say 27 because that
I guess that is a
truly
good
was
number.
like the happiest year of my life.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, everything just aligned. The stars were in perfect alignment. It was a very beautiful year. And my mama, this is my mama,
Mhm.
when she was a
Mhm.
little girl, and she's in heaven now, but very much a huge part of our lives. And she was born on August 27th.
Oh.
And my daughter Maya, March 27th. Our son Jackson, my one biological, was born on my mom's birthday,
Oh my God.
August 27th.
That's my oldest daughter's birthday.
Are you serious?
Hold on. I just have to stop. My daughter's named Maya and my second son is named Jackson.
We're
Isn't that
kindred
crazy?
spirits.
I know, we
right?
really are.
We just
so
got
funny.
really good taste, don't
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah, Alyssa's on the 27th of August,
She-
too.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's
So
very
Alyssa-
wonderful. And then
27's a good number, it seems like.
and then our
And the
Samuel was born on September 27th.
No
That's
way.
amazing.
So 27 is a very
Yeah.
special
Yeah.
number to
I
me.
love
No,
that.
that is.
Yeah. So
That's great.
anyway, so David had brain cancer. That's a whole nother story. So let me just do like the Reader's Digest
Mhm.
condensed version. Oh, that tells you how old I really am. Do they even have a Reader's Digest?
I don't know, but I know. I know
Okay.
what it is.
I know that. Yeah, I think that it might be online, but
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if they
It's
still
not
print
by
it,
the
right?
potty anymore.
Yeah, right.
That's where I used to have my little Reader's Digest.
Oh, yes.
And anyway, so okay, so David had a brain tumor his senior year. We went to Bountiful High School together
Mhm.
and ran in different circles. And I just remember feeling so sad for this really nice guy that had a brain tumor. It was removed. It was benign. He did very well. About probably closer to 7 years later, he and our paths crossed again. And we started to hang out. And he used to be a professional snow skier.
Mhm.
And so he couldn't believe that I didn't know how to ski. And so he started to teach me how to ski. And I just loved how patient he was. And we just started hanging out, good friends. And he called me one evening and said, I have another brain tumor. And I said, what are you talking about? Please, that's not even funny. And he's like, I'm actually not joking. I wish I were.
Oh, man.
But he had to go for routine MRIs just to make sure, excuse me, and there was a brand new brain tumor. He was asymptomatic, but eventually, of course, it would have started to reveal itself. So he had surgery, same incision, very similar location. This time around, it was malignant. And so he contracted bacterial spinal meningitis when he had the surgery, and he nearly passed away. And we were told that he was sterile from all the chemo and radiation, which started after he was strong enough, after healing from the bacterial spinal meningitis. He spent the better part of 8 months at the University of Utah Hospital. And during that time, we became engaged. And everybody thought I was so crazy. You're marrying somebody with brain cancer. But it felt right. And I am a firm believer in your, I don't know, gut instinct. Follow what your heart tells you. That inner voice, I feel, is a really good compass.
Yes.
You know?
Agree. Yeah, I agree.
And so we were told that it would be wise to try to donate prior to his chemo and radiation so that we could do perhaps IVF or artificial inseminations. We took that route. Unfortunately, that did not work in our favor. 3 years after David was cancer. I don't know what the proper terminology is now, and I don't want to ever offend anyone by saying something that's not politically correct or socially sound. You know what I mean? So I apologize if I do say anything that's not quite right. But anyway, so we, unfortunately, the freezing technique that they used actually damaged the, So we paid all that money and then it didn't work, but that's okay. You know, you do what you have to do at the time. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay. There was a quote, and I'm the queen of quotes.
I love it.
And there was a quote that I came across at the store, just hanging on a cash register during David's cancer. And it said, the ideal person bears the accidents of life with dignity and grace, making the best of circumstances. And there was another one that said, I am determined to be happy in whatever situation I may be in, for I have learned through life that the better part of our happiness comes from our dispositions and not our circumstances. So while it was, of course, very disappointing and sad to think, okay, so biological children aren't in the cards for us, but you know what? That's okay. We had our tears. Well, David doesn't ever cry. I had my tears. And I was able to just give myself the time and grace necessary to process that.
Yeah.
Because as a female, it's hard. You go through your monthly stuff, and I had ovarian cysts and endometriosis, and I'd already had surgery, and you go through a lot in hopes of having it benefit you, but there are so many people that, it doesn't work out that way.
Right.
So anyway, and now I'm sitting here thinking, what was I saying about being politically correct? I don't even remember. Cancer-free, was he?
Yeah.
And my kids have diagnosed me with ADD, so I'm very sorry if I go
I
off.
definitely have ADD too.
Yeah,
I
so
think
just,
that's why I'm all over the place too.
Yeah,
Okay, I love it. We're going to be best
good.
friends.
And by the end, we're going to wrap it all up.
We are, yeah.
We'll
And it's going to make
circle.
sense. It's going to be fine. No,
We'll
you're
bring
doing
it back
great.
around.
Yeah.
Put a little nice little bow on it.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're doing great.
A nice little bow. I love it. So about 3 years after David was declared cancer-free, we decided to start looking into adoption. This wasn't anything super foreign to me because in my high school junior humanities class, we were given an assignment to write our own eulogy. Oh. And it was really an interesting time for really very introspective time.
Yeah.
What do you want to be remembered for? Yeah. You know, there's that beautiful poem about the dash. Have you ever heard that? Where in an obituary you see the year that the person is born, and then the year, and there's a dash, and then there's the year that person has graduated from life. Yeah. What do you want to have happen in your dash?
I love that.
And I just love that. It helps me really stop and think about what's important. What am I doing to help others?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How am I making a difference? Am I making someone else's life a little easier, another life breathe easier?
Mm-hmm.
So I had written in my little eulogy that I had worked in the world of adoption. Basically,
Really?
I was a Kathy Kunkel wannabe.
Yeah.
There you go. And there I didn't
Hey,
even know that
you
sweet
didn't
mommy of yours.
know.
Oh.
And so I had always talked about adoption, and I told my mama about it too.
Mhm.
And I have a very, very special place in my heart for special needs.
Yes.
My mom said when I was a tiny little girl, and my neighbor growing up, I just talked to her recently. She's 99. And she said, Shari, are you still out trying to save the worms and the birdies and every cat and dog? And I said, Aunt Bonnie, you remember? And she's like, are you kidding? As soon as you could walk, you were out trying to save any little creature or
I
critter,
Mhm.
any little thing. And I'm not trying to say, toot my own horn, that I've got some wonderful, I'm a savior. No, I've just always been very drawn to those that sometimes society overlooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had someone once say to me, I work in special ed as well,
Mhm.
say, oh, I don't know how you keep doing it. I've had my nose broken 3 times by
Oh
some
my gosh.
nonverbal autistic
Yeah.
sweethearts that I'd be breaking somebody's nose too
Right,
if I
I
couldn't
know.
have
Yeah.
myself understood. You
Yeah,
know,
and
they get angry and
communicate.
they lash out.
Yeah.
And this lady is an educator as well. And she just said, I just can't believe you're still in that field after I've heard you've had reconstructive surgeries. And I said, yeah. She goes, I prefer the top of the barrel, the cream of the crop, and you are just digging at the bottom. And I was like,
That's rude.
I won't swear.
Yes.
But in my mind, I had a few choice words.
Mhm.
And then I thought, you know what? I feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're missing out on.
Mm-mm.
Not that the cream of the crop aren't wonderful. Sure they are.
Yeah.
But what a sad view
Yeah.
of people. So we joined the Utah, I think it was called the Utah Adoption Council,
Yep.
if I remember correctly. It feels
Mhm.
like another lifetime ago.
Yeah. Still
And-
around.
Is it?
Is that what she was just talking about as well?
Mm-hmm.
Seisha?
Oh,
Yes.
The girl in here before, she also, that was actually the
Really?
convention that we went to
Yeah,
where I met her.
When Chris and I had our daughter, we were asked to speak on a panel there too.
Okay.
Oh, how
That's
nice.
great.
Yeah, so we spoke on it. Well, he spoke. I was
Mhm.
quiet. Now I talk, but I'm behind this.
I know we're getting there. We're getting
Slowly.
closer and closer.
Slowly but
Yeah.
There is
surely.
one where I did show my face.
I
so-
know.
And it's such a beautiful face.
It is.
And I love, do you have 2 dimples or 1?
Just one.
You're so
Just
pretty.
one.
I know.
My
she
mama
is.
said when I was a little girl, I'd take her little bobby pins
Mhm.
and I would dig them into my cheeks because I wanted dimples. And yeah, I have dimples, but they're not in these cheeks. I'm like, my body's confused. I need them up here.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
well.
exactly.
Same.
Oh, well,
same.
it's all right, right?
Well, at least you
Anyway.
got some somewhere.
Yeah, at least I got some tucked away. Yeah. So we joined the Utah Adoption Council and we went to a conference in downtown Salt Lake. I wanted to do as much research and educate myself as much as I possibly could. And so we looked into foreign adoption and I
Mhm.
called so many different places and received a lot of helpful packets in the mail. And anyway, we still decided, let's just go to this Utah Adoption Council and find out.
Yeah.
Can never have too much information. And we walked in and it was in a ballroom, downtown Salt Lake. I don't remember which hotel. And I heard the sweetest young lady speaking
Mhm.
and her husband, and they had 2 little girls. And I'm talking about Heidi. And I told myself I would not cry today. I would try my very best to keep my emotions in check, but it's something so tender.
Mhm.
And I just had this overwhelming warmth come over me, and I went, you need to listen to what that sweet girl's talking about. And we walked out of there that day, and I knew that we were going to adopt with active love. And I owe that to you, Heidi. So that's something I want to thank you for, because I don't know that I've ever had the opportunity to really share that with you.
No, I didn't know that, and I'm grateful to know that. So
You
I
and your
truly
sweetheart and your
appreciate it.
beautiful little girl.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're now pushing 29 and 30.
They were naughty and grew up. That's
I
what I tell my
know.
kids. I'm
That's so
like, oh, you
true.
naughty little
Yeah,
turkeys.
no,
You're
I
supposed to stay little
understand that.
forever.
I know.
Yeah.
Or at least get me some grandkids.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's right.
No, but I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
And I mean that with all sincerity.
No,
thank you.
Oh,
And
you're welcome. Thank you.
and people would say to us, so why did you choose active love versus like a church adoption for the church that would do like a subsidized, you know? And I said, it doesn't necessarily always have to make logical sense. I feel it right in my heart, and I can't deny that impression that I felt that day. And so we went full steam ahead, and we met Kathy, sweet Kathy. There aren't enough words to describe that.
No.
I know. I love
Sweet
her too.
lady, such a force for good. She and Dieter,
Yeah.
your mama and daddy are just such a beautiful force for good. If I had to just
Yes.
sum them up that way,
I love that. Yeah.
they really are. And the number of lives that they have impacted, it's just absolutely astounding. And how blessed we are to think that we have been able to know them and to learn and learn from them and love them. And Shannon and Heidi as well. And so we were working on our Dear Birth Parent letter. This really tells you how old I am. My goodness, it was before the internet. And so it was literally back in the creative memory scrapbooking days when that was a big thing.
Totally. Yeah.
And my older sister is an artist and so talented with scrapbooks, and I just am not. But I was trying. Like, okay, how would Kathy, my sister Kathy, how would she have done it? Yeah, it wasn't so pretty, but we did it with love, right?
Yes.
And it was
looks
just
great.
cardstock and stickers. And then we just wrote a little message that shared about who we were, what our dreams were, and our love and respect for anyone taking the time to read this. Shared some pictures, tied it with raffia bow. Well, we hadn't finished it, and we were sitting watching. It was a music awards on TV. I don't remember what one. And at that time, we had just moved in to help take care of my beloved mama who had had a hip replacement. And that's why it was such a beautiful year for me, my 27th year, because we got to go back and be with our sweet mama. And I had the best of both worlds. I had a sweet David and my sweet mama. It was just heavenly to be there and back in my childhood home. And we were sitting with my mom watching it, and all of a sudden, it's like I just had this little motor turn on, and I said, David, we have to get our packet in tonight. Like tonight. And he was like, what are you smoking tonight? I said, I don't know. I just have such a strong feeling. And he's like, okay. So we fixed it all up. And he's like, I think morning will be sufficient. So he dropped it off at Active Love, slid it under the door.
Oh my gosh.
And little did we know that our little Maya Papaya was going to be born the next day.
Oh my gosh.
Our portfolio, I guess you would say,
Yeah.
was shown to the birth mama, who she had a 1-year-old little girl, and from Brooklyn, New York, originally from Trinidad, and had gone to the Yellow Pages and looked up. And the very first one, just like Kathy, because I remember when I first heard A Act of Love, I said,
Everybody.
phone book, right? And I remember saying to David, I don't mean to be judgmental, but if they're not grammatically correct, how are they going to pull off a legal adoption? Like, you got to have your A and your N. And Kathy had sense.
Yeah.
Help me understand. It was to be first in the phone
Yes.
book. And it
Mhm.
worked because this birth mommy, she saw it,
Yep.
called. They flew her out, she and her little girl. And her best friend came with her. And they had been here, and she had not been able to find the family.
Mhm.
And so they showed her our portfolio, and she went into labor. So she called the social worker. I wish I could remember who it
Yeah,
was. Um,
it's so long ago. I
I
don't
know.
know.
yes, called us and said, we have a sweet birth mama here who has gone into labor. She's at the University of Utah Hospital. In between contractions, she would really like to interview you. I said, oh, by all means, yes.
Yeah.
If she can do that, like, oh, bless her heart.
Mhm.
And so they called back, and she had 3 questions for us, and I remember them very vividly. The first one was, y'all know I'm Black, and you're okay with that?
Oh.
And I said, oh, honey, we are more than okay with that. Obviously, we're pasty white people. Are you okay with that? Let's just get that right out on the table. I mean, I burn in a second in the sun. And she laughed. She's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that response. I'm like, I'm sorry. But honestly, I said, we're more than okay with that. And we didn't go into that blindedly.
Yeah.
We'd done a lot of research on what it takes, how it affects the adoptive child, because it's not all about us.
Yeah.
It's about their biological roots, their biological families, their soul. And we had done a lot of research and reading. And on the adoptive paperwork, it says, which race do you feel comfortable, or something along the lines of adopting. And it had all the different races. And I don't know if you remember, Heidi, if you even knew, in my Shari style, I just said, well, for pity's sake, the human race. And I just wrote that across the whole section.
I didn't know that.
love
but
that.
I totally, I would be in agreement with you. So.
I just wrote preferably the human race, and then I drew a smiley face, and then in parentheses I said, although canines are pretty awesome.
See, that's nice.
I just have to say, I just love you. I totally understand why you guys talk so highly of her.
Yeah.
Like,
I just pay them. That's
no. In fact,
thank
you
you.
remind me so much of my grandma Lana. Like,
Really?
you talk just like her. She's a very young grandma, but she
Thank you
talks-
for sliding that in.
But just the way you
Thank
talk
you.
and this whole I don't know. I
Really?
feel like you and I look like we could kind of be related.
Oh,
Kinda
that's
do,
an
right?
honor, because you're
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, you're so nice. But just hearing you talk, like, you remind me so much of her, and I just love her so much. So I'm like
Thank
listening to
you.
you. I'm like, just love you. I just love you.
Thank
I really
you.
do. You're
That's
just so sweet.
Thank you.
You
Yeah,
can
it's
feel
just
how
been
pure,
sweet and
just
fun.
yeah.
Well,
Yep.
Yes.
thank you. I
Yeah.
need to come here more often,
Come
or put
on.
you guys in my back pocket.
Okay. Whenever
I'm
you
totally
need to
fine
feel
with that.
good.
Yeah, I was like, I will be there.
Because my sweet coworker, shout out to Allie, she has me on a behavior contract to help me not be so self-deprecating, because I have like no self-esteem, and so she'll be like,
Yep, stop right there.
we're gonna work on that, just like we do with our sweet special ed students. We have our little contracts and our, things to help us love ourselves.
I have that self-esteem problem too.
I always
don't
have.
understand
I have too, though.
why that
So-
is, but
Interesting.
and when you have children, it kind of gets pushed back, and then once
Yeah.
they're older,
Yes.
you're like, oh my gosh,
Yes.
I need to work.
Yes.
Well, I think
Yes.
having kids
Makes
pushed
it
me out of my
worse.
comfort zone,
It does,
and so
Yeah, for
I feel
sure.
like I have to pull it together. I got to pull my shit together, or
Oh,
I'm-
that's my motto.
yeah, pull your shit together.
Always pull my shit together.
That's me too.
And then I have a magnet that says, insanity is hereditary. You get it from your children. I'm like, amen.
That is very true.
So when they're
my
like,
gosh.
Mama, you're freaking, I'm like, let me just tell you, it's all for a good reason, but
Right.
there is a reason.
exactly.
It was all your fault.
Yes.
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 You created
Yes.
this.
And I'll tease my kids because I've had 3 pregnancies
Yeah.
and one that came full term, and that's our Jackson. And I remember hearing in one of the classes that we attended after we had Maya, we did it backwards because it happened so quickly.
Yeah.
We hadn't done
Yeah.
our classes through Active Love,
No,
which
you
are
were just
wonderful.
you just put in the application. and
Yeah,
everything,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just remember, I think it was Sweet Isaac who shared, oh, I love him.
I do too.
Yeah.
What a remarkable man.
He's still
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
he is.
happy
Yes,
day.
he is. He runs our office, so he's high up there.
How wonderful.
Yep.
And I believe it was Isaac that talked about, and I hope I remember the word right, that you want to make sure to foster a feeling of belonging with your adopted children so they don't feel different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A feeling of belonging. I believe that was the word because
Yeah.
I remember thinking, yes, so you say things to help them feel very much a part of. And so I tease them and say, you see these stretch marks? You all are to blame. And they're like, it's only Jack that did it to you. We didn't do that to you. I'm like, yeah, every 10 pounds with each one of you.
The stress.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. I'm like, just trying to help you belong.
Yeah.
But I'll say, like,
That's true.
my daughter Maya, our only daughter, she is, I always say, Maya, why aren't you the mama?
Right. Okay. Am
Yeah,
I
you're
talking to like an
Maya.
older version of myself right now? I feel like
Maya.
my
is
Maya's the same
oldest.
way. She's the oldest. She's
Yeah.
the only girl, and she is like heaven sent. I don't know what
Yes.
I would do without her. In fact, I always tell her, honey, it's okay to be a kid. Go play. Go. You don't need to be taking care of everyone all the time. Like, you're so
Yes.
sweet and I love you, but go have fun.
That's
Go.
Maya. That's exactly. She doted on her little brothers.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was the mother hen. And
Mhm.
you know what? To this day, she's 26 now. And to this day, I say, I think there was a little mix up in heaven. I think you were supposed to be the mama
Yeah.
because you teach me. And
So
she
much,
has
yeah.
such a beautiful view of life and a beautiful self-esteem. And she's like, Mama, that's because of you and Daddy.
Yeah.
You would cheer for me when I just do a toot. Oh, yay, your tummy's working right. She's like, you would cheer for anything I did. She's
Yeah.
like, so yeah, I grew up loving myself.
Good.
But she has been very instrumental in helping me have better self-esteem and
Yeah.
things like that. And I love, she said, Mommy, well, she saw the cover of People magazine at the checkout. She was just little, like 3, and it was Britney Spears, scantily clad.
Yes.
And Maya said, Mama, does she not have a mommy? I'm like, oh, she's like, that's not a very nice thing to wear. And I'm like, oh, Maya. And she's like, I don't like to see all that. And I'm like, well, everybody's free to choose what they want to wear, honey.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's not the best
Yeah.
for what you think is appropriate. You know, I'm trying to be all politically correct. In my mind, I'm like, dang right.
In your mind, you're like, oh, I'm so grateful you said that.
Exactly. But we don't want to be judgmental of
Yes.
other people. So, yeah.
Yes.
And then Maya said in her wisdom, Mommy, why do people care so much about their costume? And I said, what do you mean, Maya? And she said, this is just our costume. Inside is what we really are.
How old was she?
Wow.
She was about 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was in
She's an old
kindergarten.
soul
She's
then.
very much an old soul. And she
Yes.
said, I just think that we all come in different costumes. Some people have big costumes. Some have a little tiny, some tall, some short, some brown, some white. She goes,
Yeah.
why does the world care so much about your costume? And I thought, what a beautiful way to look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Just love
Yeah.
your costume and go about doing good in this world, you know? And so I am very grateful for her insight and wisdom. And so taking it back to where I started with her birth mommy, and I don't know if I should say their birth mommy's names, but I didn't ask their permission, and it's not my story to tell.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
in
You're
respect
good.
and honor of them,
Yes.
I'll just call them our angels.
Yeah. works.
Birth Mama Angel 1, Birth Mama Angel 2.
Yeah.
And Birth Mama Angel 1's question was that about y'all know I'm Black.
Mm-hmm.
The next question in between her contractions, bless her soul. The second one was, if it's a little girl, do you promise to take the very best care of her hair? Because this little girl's going to be full African American. Her birth father, also from Trinidad, living in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I said, I promise you, I will do all I possibly can. I'll take classes. And David was laughing. He's like, she really will. She'll research it to death. Promise you that. Yeah. And so she's like, okay. The third question was, I see here you're Christian, and I really want my baby to know that Christ is real. So can you promise me that you'll stay true to your Christian roots and raise her to know that Jesus loves her or him? I said, 100,000% yes. She's like, okay, cool. And then she sets the phone on. You hear her in pain. And then I feel so badly that my mind's drawing a blank who the active love staff worker was.
Yeah.
Yeah, birth mother coordinator. Of course, I say mama. Birth mother coordinator was. But she thanked us and we hung up. And then she said, we'll call you back. And we had just gotten ready for bed. I'd taken my contacts out and thought, okay, we'll try to sleep. And the phone rang.
Oh my God.
And she said, Shari, I have the honor of telling you that you're going to be a mommy tonight. And she said, the birth mommy would love to have you and David in the delivery room. Can you guys get up here as soon as possible? Oh my God. I said, absolutely. And she goes, do you need directions? Because, we didn't have good little
Right.
She says, do you know how to get to the University of Utah? I said, with my eyes closed. Because David had lived there for 8 months.
Yeah.
And I went there every single day to visit him. So we got in the car and David got behind the driver's seat and I said, scoot over, Toots.
Yeah, I'm driving.
I know how fast to go up First South so you don't hit the lights red.
Oh, there you go.
And I was so excited and scared that I backed out of my mama's garage and took off our side view mirror. David's like, you sure you're good to drive? Yes, I promise. We got up there and we walked in and we still chuckle. Even birth mama A chuckles because she took one look at us and all of a sudden just threw up and she'd had Mexican dinner.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it wasn't very pleasant. That's okay. It's okay.
girl.
Everything from the body is natural. Yeah. It's going to be okay. And David cleaned it all up.
Oh.
He's like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's all right. And he got it all cleaned up and she's apologizing. She's like, I promise it's not anything again. I said, it's because we're pasty white, isn't it? Yeah. You didn't know just how white we are. Yeah, until throw up. And so your sweet mama, Kathy, called to congratulate us. And she said, congratulations on your baby girl. And I said, Kathy, we don't know if it's a girl or a boy. Yeah. The little one hasn't been born yet. And she said, oh, okay. Well, it's a girl.
It's a girl.
It's a girl.
Oh my gosh.
And she said that she prays about every single one. And she said, yeah, this was all destiny, divine intervention. Yes, and the doctor and the nurses, we'd all written on the whiteboard our guesses. I'd guessed a boy. And your mama won that.
She usually does.
World, right? Yeah. So Maya was born at 4:24 a.m. on March 27th. And that was the day I was to present all of my research findings on teenage pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
Where I was working at the time. And I had to call the doctor, the psychologist over the center, the children's center where I worked. And I said, I am so sorry. I had a baby in the night. I can't come. And he's like, Shari, I know you're nervous to do any public speaking.
Right.
But that really, yeah. Sure, you got. And I'm like, no, seriously. Anyway, he was so happy for us. And so, but when Maya was born, the sweet doctor, female doctor, held her and said, it's a baby girl, and went to hand her to me. And I said, oh, no. no, she's the mommy. She's the birth mommy. She's just been through hell, you know. And she looked at me and said, no, you're the mommy. And the doctor was so cute that she said, well, will somebody hold this little bundle? I said, yes, if you're sure. And she said, I want you to bond first. She needs you. So, and that was the beginning of the greatest gift from birth mommies. I'm sorry.
No, I told myself I wasn't going to cry. I made it to the first one without crying. So I figured I can cry now. I did the best I could.
That is good. And so Active Love was so accommodating and helpful because we had nothing. We hadn't even had our home study. We raced home and had to get everything ready. The home study was done like at 10 a.m. We'd been up all night. We got it all. You know, Active Love is so wonderful in making you feel like it's not a business, but truly a family.
Yeah.
But they follow all the legal protocol. They are very careful.
My mom is very, very careful with that.
That is the one thing that I know.
Yes, she
does it right.
I wish that I didn't have to charge a penny for any of these adoptions, and I wish we didn't have to. But
she truly means that.
She really, really does. Yeah. And so they said, so legally you can't take Maya home. But Cindy Byland, I remember Cindy. She said, don't worry, we'll take Maya to my house. Cindy Byland, licensed worker with Active Love. She said, but there's nowhere that says you can't come hold your little girl at my house for as many hours as you want.
Oh.
My family rallied and got everything we needed, you know, diapers, all of the essentials. And we'd been told that we'd be on a waiting list. They said, you know, sometimes it can be a year and a half, 2 years. And we had just been accepted to go to Indiana. David was accepted to go to Purdue University to earn his MBA. Okay. And so we thought, put in our adoption paperwork, do this 1 year MBA, and maybe then our names will be chosen, you know. Yeah. We didn't know it would be overnight. So David sold his beloved truck to
help pay for it.
To help pay for it. And we did a fundraiser to help pay for it. Through Active Love, they helped us. We did that because another birth mommy had been there at the birth mother home and had placed twins right at the same time. And then Kathy and Dieter had found an apartment for her to live in. Yeah. And the night she came home from the hospital, her little biological son turned the water on to get in the bathtub and received all those third-degree burns. The water heater had been tampered with. Yeah. And he was taken up to the burn unit. And so if this doesn't just illustrate what Active Love is really, truly about, it is an act of love. Yeah. Because they rallied around that sweet birth mama. And they did a sign up for all of us to come and sit with that little boy in the burn unit so that mama could be healing from having had twins and placed them. Yeah. There's the healing with all of that, which I honor and respect. Yeah. And so we did a fundraiser to help
with his costs.
Yeah. And your parents said, and that can go toward helping pay for the adoption. Yeah. Like, Kathy and Dieter, who are you? Who are you, beautiful souls? And so David says it was the best trade he ever made. He's like, I sold my truck for my beautiful girl, and there's nothing better than that. He sold his motorcycle for my diamond ring. He's like, I sold my toys, my boy toys, or whatever you say, for my girls.
I love that.
So
that is sweet.
So our little Maya bird. Oh, my mama is the one that thought of her name. So she said, do you have names? And my mama had said, well, if it's a little girl, she said, my mom had introduced me to Maya Angelou's work.
That's what I was thinking. Is that after her?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so she's like, that would be such a lovely name. Of course, it's up to you. There was also a book about when you lose your beloved pet. It's a story, and it was Maya's first rose, or maybe last rose. I get things mixed up. And it was a beautiful story. And the little doggie's name was Maya. And so I said to the birth mommy, these are two names we've been thinking of, Maya and Gracie. And she said, oh, girl, it's Maya. Gracie is too damn white. And I went, okay, well, I was thinking of Amazing Grace. Yeah. And I have a children's book because I've collected children's literature since I was a teenager. And I had, not knowing that I would adopt, beautiful, different, what's the politically correct thing to say? Different ethnicities, different costumes.
Yeah,
Can we say
costumes.
that?
I love that. Yeah.
That don't look like my costume. And that's okay.
Yes.
Think of this world had all one costume.
I know, wouldn't that be
How
boring?
I was thinking
boring.
that last night. I was like,
Well, and
I don't know why we don't just accept things more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like
It's supposed
if
to
we
be
just
like
had
that.
like one apple to choose from, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean, like one fruit. You only get one fruit.
Right. How very dull.
Right?
You think
And
of a
one
Christmas
flower,
tree. What if it was
Yeah.
just the same ornament all the way around?
Mhm.
You look at trees and all their splendor with all the
the
different.
colors?
And when your
everything.
children make their little ornaments, those are my favorite ornaments
Oh my
of all.
gosh, I still have them
Oh, me too.
on my tree.
Our house burned in 2008.
That's
We
a whole
lost,
nother
yeah,
story.
that's for another day. And that
Oh my
we lost so
gosh.
much, but there are a few treasures that I have been able
Yeah,
to
that was
save
good.
that are so precious.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we went with the name Maya. And when we were in the car driving home to get our home study done, I remember right where I was driving past the Utah State Capitol. And I called my mama and I said, she's perfect. Mommy, she is perfect. And we're going with the name Maya. And she's like, really? I said, yeah. And I said, and you know what? She's as pretty as a rose. She needs to be Rose, Maya Rose. And my mama's
that's a
name is
beautiful name.
Marion. And I said, Rose Marion. And my mama is so sweet and humble. She's like, oh, no, you don't need to. I said, nope, it's
That's it.
decided.
Yes,
It's,
that's it.
it's final. And David was like, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And today is National Rose,
Rose
Day.
Day.
So how
Oh, how
apropos, right? And
Yep.
it's also National Loving Day.
Yep.
And I thought, I love the act of love, Mackenzie love,
Mhm.
talking about love and how
Yes.
that's what this
Yes.
dark world needs more of.
Yes. That's true.
Unconditional love.
Yeah. Very true.
And so that's our Maya Papaya story. I could spend hours talking about her and the love that we have for her birth mother and birth father. Although he tried, that's a whole nother story, for just a little moment. So the other birth mom that was in the birth mother home who had the twins, she called me probably about a month after little Maya was born. And David and I had taken Maya to Hires Big H in downtown Salt Lake to show her off to all the waitresses because we used to live up on Foothill Boulevard.
Oh, yeah.
And that was our go-to on Friday
I
nights.
love it.
We got to take our little Maya and show her off. And I hate to admit this, but I will. We're sitting there eating, and I get a call from this other birth mom, and she said, just need to give you a heads up. The birth father has decided he's going to come and take Maya. And I had never said the F word before. Oh, my stars, Mama Bear, that
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know I had, because I hate conflict. I hate arguments. It makes me physically sick
Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
any kind of confrontations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it scared me. I just said, there's no effing way.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him try. And David just looked like he'd seen a ghost. And he said, go outside. Go out to the parking lot. And so I went out. I took it outside. And I was like, I never say that. I've never said that. And I had no idea the power that a mommy has for her baby. And I want to recognize that same power of love that a mommy has is also the power of love that a birth mommy has.
Yeah.
And I just think birth mommies need to be celebrated and cherished and honored that they chose to do something so very hard, so unselfish. So we are eternally grateful for the birth mothers that have blessed our lives and for all birth mommies. And so Yes, I mean that so sincerely. So everything went back to normal. Things settled down, and that never came to fruition. We didn't have to deal with that. And I don't mean to speak ill of him. I cannot judge what he was going through.
Yeah.
Although as we've gotten to know him a little bit better, a lot of it has to do with financial stress.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a motivating factor.
Yeah.
Am I saying that in a gentle, kind
Yes.
way?
Yes.
And my mama had us memorize a quote when we were little, and she had it hanging up in our house, and it's a Cherokee prayer. O great Spirit, grant that I may never find fault with my neighbor until I've walked the trail of life in his moccasins. So I don't ever want to assume that I am better than anyone else. I'm certainly not without fault, and I can't judge a birth daddy that in his moment of anguish or whatever he was enduring, what he chose.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then shortly after Maya's, I think, 3rd month birthday, yes, we celebrated her birthday every month, a little party hat, and my mama would get
So
cupcakes. And,
So
oh,
cute.
goodness. Had to have the wet wipe warmer because we don't want anything to startle the little lady. Right? And poor Pickle, the youngest one, I'm like, hey, David, Pickle's pooped. Will you throw me some wet paper towels?
Yeah.
Right?
So funny.
And that's
So
his nickname,
true.
but we'll
So
get to
true.
Sweet Pickle.
So
Yeah.
true.
I need to speed up or we'll be here forever. So I apologize.
You're fine. I'm loving this.
I'm very long-winded. My kids say I'm like the donkey in Shrek. I probably look like. No, I
No,
can't
you
say
don't.
that. Sorry.
Yes.
I do
I'm
tend
going to
to
stop
talk.
you.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, and so we learned that I was pregnant. And we were like,
Where'd that come from?
how in the world?
Oh my gosh.
And we were just fixing to move to Indiana.
Oh
And I'm like, pregnant with a new baby, moving away from my mama, leaving this happy little haven. How am I going to do this? And I remember my sweet sister, Susie, my oldest sister, back when you could get on the airplane to help somebody, she got on. And I remember what I was wearing, my denim overalls, and she just said, you're going to be okay. You are strong and you'll get through it. And we're here for you. We may have thousands of miles, but I knew that they would come in a moment's notice if I needed anything. And we were ecstatic and scared, and people teased us. Oh, I thought you said David's sterile. You've been friendly with Mel, the mailman? I'm like, oh, for
Wow,
goodness
I've been there
sakes.
before. My husband had a vasectomy, and we got pregnant 6 months later.
You did?
Yes.
So yes, you've
I
been on
do,
the receiving
yeah.
end of
I
some
have,
jokes.
Yeah, I have. I still
and you're
get
like,
them.
I promise.
I promise. I didn't have time for that. I had 3 other kids.
Right?
I wish.
No, ain't nobody got time
Well,
for that.
yeah, it's like
No.
one is enough, please.
Yeah,
Really,
right?
You want to go find a second?
Yeah, no.
Oh.
Another child to raise?
No.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
good.
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
I've already trained them. So
I know. I've
well.
already tried
Yes.
so
Yes.
hard with this one.
Right?
over.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm so
Yes,
over.
I'm right there with you. So we were thrilled, and everything was going beautifully until it wasn't. And that's our little girl, Sonora. We named her Sunny. Well, her full name is Sonora Bell. The name Sonora from the movie Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken. I don't know if you've seen
Yes,
that
I love
beautiful
that.
story of
Yeah, I
that
love
sweet
that
girl
movie.
that came from a very abusive home and found her way
Yeah.
and had such courage. And David and I were watching that the night he contracted bacterial spinal meningitis. Or maybe not contracted, when it presented.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember that very, very vividly. And so my mother's name is Eva Bell. All of our children have names associated with family. I just think that's something very special with
Yeah,
either David's
it.
side or my side.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had chosen, my Johnny Angel's calling. Sorry, honey. So we had chosen the name Sonora Bell, and her little heart had stopped during my pregnancy.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother story. for another time, because that carries with it a whole nother,
Yes.
we were so excited, but I was also scared. How will I love another one like I love our Maya?
Yeah.
Isn't that an amazing phenomenon?
Yes,
Yeah.
it
Your
is.
heart grows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then miraculously along came Jackson. And we had finished grad school and had moved to Portland, Oregon. We'd been there 48 hours. And I went into premature labor, trying to find the hospital at midnight. Luckily, a sweet lady, Callie, had come over to welcome us into the church and area in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And had said, call me if you need anything. Little did she know.
You'd be calling right away.
At midnight. Hello, I'm so sorry, Callie. There's something going on. I was very sick, and that's a whole nother story. I actually had a fever of 105.4 when I delivered Jackson, and the doctor took David aside and said, I need to let you know that there's a high probability that your wife's not going to make it.
Oh my gosh.
So call family. So we had no family.
Gosh.
Oh my heck.
Luckily, I do have a cousin that we'd contacted in Oregon in case we needed immediate help and didn't want to be burdening this newfound friend, Callie. And David's sweet mother, Lara, got on an airplane immediately. And her other son works for Delta. She was able to hop on a flight and get there. And for some reason, it wasn't my time to go. And we were able to have our Jackson. And he and Maya were inseparable. They were just as cute as they could be. And she said, Mommy, you got me a sugar brother. He's white like sugar.
Oh.
And that little fellow has a sweet tooth. That little fellow, he just got engaged. He's 25 on August 27th. But he loved it. So his nickname's Shuggy.
Shuggy.
Yeah.
That is so
Shuggy
cute.
Monk.
I love that.
And Maya and Shuggy did everything together. In fact, he didn't hardly talk because Maya did all the talking, right? Like you were saying.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he'd like a da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, well, thank you. Let's see what.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have what she said. Okay.
My Maya and Jackson are the same way.
Really?
They go everywhere together. They do
Oh.
everything together. So
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Very happy memories of those days.
Yeah.
They were so close. And then we called Birth Mama A to wish her a happy birthday. And I need to just back up. She had requested an open adoption, obviously, since we were in the delivery room, through letter exchanging and like calls several times a year. Birthday, Mother's Day, Christmas, something like that. And so we called to wish her a happy birthday, and she said that it had been an awful day. She had gone back to New York after Maya was placed with us, and she became pregnant again right away, and she had chosen to parent that little boy and went, not feeling well, to the doctor, pregnant again. She was so overwhelmed, terrified, not in a good way.
Yeah.
And so she, like I say, there's zero judgment. She went to an abortion clinic and tried to do a medication abortion. And that's a whole nother story. We'll just suffice to say that it didn't work. And she didn't know if it was going to work or not. You wait some hours while it all takes place. And here we call to wish her a happy birthday. And she said, if this little, she was angry, little blankety blank doesn't, will you guys take it? And I said, of course we will. And so 6 weeks went by, and we called her back because she said, call me in about, the doctor said about 6 weeks, we'll know for sure if it's a viable pregnancy or not. And we called 6 weeks later, whoop-a-daisy. Oh, you're fine, no worries. And she said, you Mormons pray too damn much. You've been praying that I'd stay pregnant. And I laughed. I said, oh, honey, you're still, and she's like, yeah. I said, we may have prayed just a little bit. of any religion, of any denomination, if you pray to the universe, you pray to whatever, we were praying that you would be surrounded by comforting angels in whatever form that may be for you.
Yeah.
See, I'm trying so hard to be politically correct because
No,
I don't
you're
want to
doing
offend
great.
anybody.
No, you're not
You're
going to
fine.
offend anyone.
Yeah.
You're
Because I
great.
honor all different
Yes,
beliefs
we
for
know.
sure.
Yeah.
And I credit that to my mom. She helped us
Yeah.
appreciate all different religions and ways of thinking. And so she said, Shari, I cannot let my grandma, who she was living with, know I'm pregnant for the 4th time and so young. She said, can I come live with you? I about swallowed the phone. I said, sure. Let me just double check. Well, no, he'll say yes too. And she's like, yeah, David will say yes. He'll go along with whatever you say. And so we got her on an airplane with her 2 littles, and they came out, and we were one big family in a little townhouse just outside of Portland, and it was hard.
Yeah.
And my biggest fear, and I said to her, I am so scared that this is going to be breaking your heart to be around Maya.
Yeah.
And she said, oh no, she ain't my kid, she's yours. She's 100% yours. She goes, I got my 2, and they keep me plenty busy. And I said, as long as you're okay with it, and if at any time it's too much, you let me know what we can do to make it better, you know?
Yeah.
And when she came to our little townhouse, she said, damn, girl, this is a freaking shrine to Maya. Your poor little baby doesn't have a picture on the wall. Poor little Jackson. I was so happy that she felt we'd aired on that, which brings me to one point that I wanted to make sure to share in this podcast is people will ask me, is it hard to love adopted versus biological? Is there, how do you do that? Unequivocally, 0 problem. I understand that's my experience. It may not be for everyone, but to those wondering and worried, it's magic. It's pure magic.
Yeah.
The minute that little one is in your arms, it enters your heart in a way that defies description. I've been trying over the weeks to come up with ways to explain it, and I thought, you know what? Suffice it to say, I don't have words adequate to express the pure magic.
Yeah. When they first put that. And that's why I always would tell adoptive families is when I would answer the phone and talk to them initially when we first opened, is that there is a lot of paperwork and it is difficult.
Yes.
I go, but as soon as that baby is placed in your arms,
Yes.
nothing else will matter. You'll do it a million times over.
Oh, yes,
in order
indeed.
to have that moment.
Yes.
And I said, it's all worth it. And I go, just think about what you'll get in the end.
For sure.
You know, and everything else will disappear.
So
and
true.
Every time they placed my baby in my arms, nothing else. It's like instant. It's weird.
It is, isn't it?
It's hard to explain because
Yes.
I mean, I didn't have any biologically.
Yes.
But I do have adopted siblings.
Yes.
And I don't see them any different than I see my one biological sibling.
Exactly.
We all love the same or feel the same towards each other. We're just one family. And I can't imagine loving my children more than I do.
Right.
So whether I gave birth to them or not, I wouldn't have loved them any differently.
Absolutely.
So, and it's magic. It's just
It's the only word I
kinda-
could come up with.
Yeah, it's just something that just
Yeah.
overwhelms you.
Almost like an invisible fairy dust
Yeah.
that just comes sprinkling down,
It
and you
does.
say, "Oh,
It does. It's like and to the build up when you're adopting, the build up, it's like your heart starts to open up more.
yeah, oh yes,
You
I
know
love
what I
how
mean?
you
Right
said
before
that. It's true.
Before you even get the child, so that when the child is given to you, it's like easy. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, that's how it was for me. I just feel like
Yes.
you have to open yourself up to love in any way, shape, or
Yes,
form.
yes.
And so then once you have that child given to you, it's magic.
yeah.
Magic.
Thank you for sharing that. That's
You're
very
welcome.
true.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I forget that they're adopted. And I know that
Yes.
sounds silly, but it's true.
Yeah.
Maya, I'll say she has tummy problems like I have.
They have that, right?
And, yeah.
I know,
And
we
I
have
said to
same
the doctor,
problem.
I said, oh, she gets it from me.
Yes.
And the doctor looked at Maya and they both started to laugh and it didn't register.
Yeah.
And Maya's like, isn't she adorable? Like, isn't that cute that she thinks it's her fault? I mean, as a mother, everything's your fault,
Yes.
right? And then I remember when one of my little boys was later getting his teeth in, I said, you know, my mom said I was like getting my teeth or losing a tooth. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And the doctor's like, yeah, I don't think that really works. But, you know, you can take the blame.
Right.
Yeah. I wanted to touch upon the fact that I wonder if people have questions about what is it like to adopt from another race.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to answer any questions if somebody ever wants to get in touch. Since we're short on
Yes,
time, I was going to share a few
Yeah, that would be
examples of
amazing.
how we've handled it.
Yeah.
Because we have had a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be
you
more
do.
than happy to if you want to put like my email.
Yes, I would love
I'm an
to.
open book.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
Be
I'll put your
happy,
email if you
or phone number, whatever.
Hey.
We were on the call list for people
Yes.
that could call to see how our adoption experience went.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I still remember one lady called and said, is your adoption open? I said, oh, yeah. And she's like, do you ever talk to the birth mom? I said, she's laying on my futon at the moment. Because that's when she'd come to live with us.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so
She's
funny.
like, oh, I said, that's not typical, I promise.
Yeah, that's
Yes, not typical. So very quickly, Active Love, when we moved back to Utah, asked if I would like to come on board and work. And so I was on and I don't know if you still have the birth mother call line, like a number that they could call.
Oh, yes, the birth mother hotline.
Yeah, yeah.
24 hours, 7
Yes,
days a
that-
week.
yes.
We still have it.
Yes.
I love it. And that's what I was honored to be able to
Okay.
do.
Yeah, she does that part-time.
I do that too.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was doing that. And little did I know that one of the names on my list of birth mamas that we're going to be placing, most likely,
Yeah.
would be the birth mother
With Johnny.
of Johnny. I had no idea. But I went
I could
to.
hear your stories all day long.
I
I could sit here for hours.
thank
you.
Yeah.
So I was at a staff meeting, and your sweet mama, Kathy, stood up and just explained that there was a little baby boy, half African-American, half Caucasian, left at Active Love's front desk. The birth mama had signed her relinquishment, and they had flown her out from Memphis. They had shared with her, right now, we do not have a family that feels comfortable adopting that.
Yeah.
I remember there were 54 families waiting to adopt at the time. I still remember that number.
Yes, and the thing is that with children that could be mixed race or different race, sometimes it's harder to find the families for. So in that area, we used to do a lot more of the temporary foster care.
Yes.
We did, and we haven't had to really use that. I mean, we have
Really?
it, but we don't have to use it as often.
As
We
often.
actually can do more of just placement. So
Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
yeah, so but
That
I know
makes
what
my
you're
heart
talking.
happy that you're not, because so this little baby boy had been left at the front desk, and his birth mama said, God has a family. They just don't know it yet, but they will. They will. Talk about a leap of faith.
Yeah.
What a beautiful soul to have that,
Yeah.
you know. And she'd placed another little boy the year before through Active Love. And that's also a very good indication of how well they treat their birth mothers, that she wanted to come back. She'd felt that
Yeah.
incredible amount of love and compassion. They do so much for not just prior, during, but the aftercare.
Yeah.
I mean, your parents didn't need to do anything for the birth mama whose little boy got burned.
Yes.
They
No.
did
Yeah.
so very much.
Yeah.
It's about helping other human beings.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not about the money and
No.
no.
Yeah.
And so this little baby had been placed in transitional care
Yeah.
coordinator Bronte's
Yeah.
care.
Yes.
Bronte stood up during the meeting and left. She came back a little while later with
With
this
the baby.
baby. and she passed the baby around the circle. Your mama had said,
I remember that.
we haven't found a family yet. So those of you that believe in a higher power, if you would please pray or put it out to the universe.
Yeah.
We've got to find a family. He's been with Bronte for 3.5 weeks.
Yes.
Bronte had some college-age daughters at home that were doting on this beautiful little bundle, this little bundle of joy. Yeah. Maya, that's a shout out to you because she makes fun of me. She says I'm like the actress in the movie. Oh, look at that little bundle of joy. Coolidge, what's her name? Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so
she knows who you're talking about.
Not at all. I don't see that at all.
What now, Maya? Anyway, and so she passed this beautiful little baby around, and we were not in the market to add to our family. Is that okay to say in the market? We felt our family was pretty complete. Yeah. However, I had a miscarriage the month before. Maya had said, Mommy, you have a baby in your tummy on Halloween. I was like, no, sweetheart, I don't. Anyway, that's another long story. Yeah. That little one passed also very early on in the pregnancy, which doesn't diminish the heartbreak.
No, it doesn't.
But we didn't know the gender. Okay. We hadn't chosen a name.
Yeah.
And so at that time when I was pregnant, David, like I said at the beginning, he's very stoic. He doesn't cry. He was misty-eyed. He came home. He said, Shari, Maya's right. There is a baby in that tummy. It's a little boy. And I said, no, Maya needs a sister. Well, bookends, right?
Yeah.
Because we had Maya, Jackson, Sam.
Like me.
Right? We need a little girl. No, you're wrong, David.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and his eyes were misty and I thought, oh my goodness. And he said, no, it's a little boy and his name's Jonathan. And I said,
what?
Maybe because I read Jonathan Livingston Seagull to him in the hospital. I read lots of things.
Yeah.
Okay, David. It's Jonathan.
Yeah.
And then we had the miscarriage and he was like, wow, what was I on? Right? I don't know why I thought that. And then Bronte brings this little boy, passes him around. He gets to me and I look down at him. And our eyes met. And there's a quote really quickly. And it was, okay, I'll get through this. And then my soul saw you. And it kind of went, oh, there you are. I've been looking for you. And it's not that the heavens opened or I heard anything, but I just had this impression of we meet again. You're my mommy. And financially, we weren't planning on that. And I went up to Kathy afterwards and I said, Kathy, he found his mommy.
Oh my God.
And I talked to Bronte and Bronte said, Shari, when you came into the meeting, I couldn't deny the impression that you were his mom. Yeah. I had to go get him. And my daughters were like, no, you said we'd get to love him while you were at your meeting. And she said, I'm sorry, his mom's there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I called David and I was crying, that ugly cry where you, and I said, David, you're right. You're right. It is a little boy. And I had said to Bronte, could you tell me